IPSCON 2025. That is the last session for today. So now we are going to start with the keynote talk by Dr. Nilima Sagar ma'am, who's the Professor Emeritus of State Medical Sciences University, Maharashtra. See here. It's okay. आप अभी introduce करवाएंगे मैम को. I would request the session chairs to please come on the dais. I request Professor S.K. Kulkarni sir to please grace the dais as a chair. I would request Dr. Subhadeep Sinha sir to please grace the dais. Thank you so much, sir. I would request you to kindly introduce our keynote speaker to the audience.
What a pleasure I have to chair your session. Please come on. Betty. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the last session of the 55th Annual Conference of Indian Pharmacological Society. We have an eminent pharmacologist and clinical pharmacologist of India, Dr. Nilima Sagar from Mumbai. Nilima ji was Dean of KM Hospital in Mumbai, and she was also, ICMR National Professor in Clinical Pharmacology for many years. And I have known her for almost 30, 40 years. And we had a very close interaction when I spent 4 or 5 years in Mumbai before I moved on to the other place. And Nilima ji is going to talk to us 50 years in pharmacology, lessons to be learned. I think lessons are to be learned even after 50 years. I have a great pleasure in welcoming Dr. Sagar. Stage is yours. You have about 25 minutes, I guess. Take your time.
Am I audible? Thank you very much. Firstly, at the outset, I am deeply grateful to Dr. Professor S.K. Kulkarni, my many, many years of friend and colleague, and Dr. Subhadeep Sinha, who are chairing this session keynote address. Very grateful to the organizers of this wonderful Indian Pharmacological Society's annual conference, Dr. Anil Kumar and his team of people, Dr. Bez Badua and Shiv Prakash, Kala Kumar, Dr. Ramesh and Dr. P.L. Sharma who is here. Extremely grateful for you all to be here. And what I'm going to say today is actually, sir, more intended for students because these are the learnings which I have got actually from all of you here. But I thought that we are at the 55th annual conference and I've had, I think it must have been probably more than 55th, but whatever. And I thought that I will share with you 50 years of my experience in pharmacology. Uh, so these are the contents of my talk. I'm going to share some of the, am I audible clearly? Yes. I'm going to share some of the stories of the patients whom we have seen. Then I'll tell some anecdotes of the product development and clinical trials which we have conducted. And then working with various government and international organization experiences there. And the lessons learned. Actually, I'm going to intersperse in each of these the lessons learned. And at the end, I will have a sort of a summary lessons learned. Actually, this is what I did in the last 50 years. And as was famously put in one of the books, this is what I do. I thought that I should say as a message to the students, do what you like. But whatever you do, you should be able to tell your grandmother exactly what you're doing. She should understand what you're doing and she should say, yes, son or daughter, whatever you're doing is right and I think that's the right thing to do. If you can't explain to her what you're doing, go back to the drawing board and see what you're doing. So some short stories of patients. So here was this patient. He was given IV metronidazole for his post-operative antibacterial. This was many years back. That was the treatment given at that time. And a very astute physician, he noticed that the two of his patients had palpitation and dilatation of pupil. Now, when I'm putting it in that context, you can very quickly say that it is anticholinergic. But for him to have realized that this is anticholinergic effect, and he came to us asking, does metronidazole have anticholinergic effect? And we said, not to the best of knowledge that we have. And then he got the full box of metronidazole bottles that he had. And he said, now test these. When he says anticholinergic, it could be just anything. So the best thing that we could do was to put all these contents of each of these bottles into the rabbit eye. And indeed, 2 of the 10 that he brought to us actually produced dilatation of pupil in the rabbit eye. And then we found that the manufacturer of metronidazole bottle was also manufacturing atropine. And he had probably got the labeling wrong. So when we did the chemical testing, we found indeed it contained atropine. So we hats off to that physician who spotted this. So what is the lesson that we learned? To solve a patient's problem, you not only need clinical astuteness like this, but you should have knowledge and skills of pharmacology, clinical pharmacology. You should know the animal testing, you should know chemical testing, pharmacy, manufacturing. Well, we do hope that with the good manufacturing practices, we no longer have such mix-ups. But we know we have been reading in the newspaper about the kind of mix-up that can happen. Next patient, an engineering student. He was referred to us, he was getting frequent GI bleeds. They wanted to know if any of the drugs he is taking is causing this frequent GI bleeds. When we asked him what he takes for pain, he says, I know that I should not be taking any anti-inflammatory drugs, I should not be taking aspirin. So out of curiosity, we asked him, what does he take then for his toothache or headache? He said, oh, I have got a wonderful Ayurvedic drug called Vedana Nigraha Ras, and it is very effective. So we were quite interested. So if it's Ayurvedic drug and very effective, let's test it. And we asked for the package. Now here's the twist. This was manufactured by Karnwar or Kovar Pharma Company in Lucknow. No aspirations on Lucknow, just located in Lucknow. And the only good thing about this fellow, the manufacturer, was that he had written on the package here for us what it was, and it was acetyl salicylic acid 500 milligram. Not surprising that he was getting good effect. In spite of he being so well educated and engineering student, he didn't know that acetyl salicylic acid is the same as aspirin. So I thought that was so many years back. Let me see what's happening today. So I hit ChatGPT, and this is what I found on today's 20th November. I looked at the ChatGPT, and it said Vedna nigraris is the trademark of that company. And then look what it says. The exact constituents of this are not given on the Google or anywhere. Lesson learned. Important to take careful history of the patient. Dr. P.L. Sharma, when he was taking my DM exam, he was very careful to see that I am doing the right thing. Patient history, critically important, and of course you should know the other thing. Third patient, this I have often quoted this example. Exam going student suffering from epilepsy during exam time. To enhance memory, he was started to take Shankapushpi. And he came to us with loss of seizure control. Of course, when he came to us, we didn't know that he was taking Shankapushpi. And we found that his phenytoin levels were low. So we thought he is non-compliant. But on lot of asking his question and this, he ultimately said that he is taking Shankapushpi. That's when we suspected that there could be an interaction between phenytoin and Shankapushpi. So we tested all the constituents of Shankapushpi in 2 animal models of tonic-clonic seizures, and we found that they indeed did have anti-epileptic effect. However, they had an interaction with phenytoin, both pharmacodynamic interaction reduced the anti-epileptic effect of the drug, and also these were enzyme inducers and reduced phenytoin levels. What was the lesson learned? You need to know, if you are an allopathic physician or a pharmacologist, you still need to know Ayurvedic formulation, and also of course careful history taking forever remains a good thing. We were working many years back on epidural morphine. There was a publication in Lancet, and we thought we will do testing and see how effective it is a pain relieving. And we had patient of peripheral vascular disease, and they used to get a lot of pain in the inferior extremity, so we gave epidural morphine. And we found that he had a toe ulcer, and actually the toe ulcer started showing actually bleeding. That's when we also did impedance plethysmography, a machine which was developed by BARC, and it was put in KEM for carrying out tests to check whether it can tell us anything about blood flow. And we found that indeed the blood flow in the lower extremity had improved after epidural morphine. So what is the lesson learned? That sometimes in order to have some idea that you may have, you need to be able to provide some proof for it. In this case, we used impedance plethysmography. Today, we have multiple types of equipment, and you should use that to actually show your proof of concept. This machine was later marketed by L&T. I'll next move on to giving you some anecdotes from product development and clinical trials. We just saw this picture in the student quiz that we had, Artemisia annua, and you know that this was developed by the Chinese UU2, and she showed 100% efficacy in extracts in animal models and in clinical trials. But Americans questioned. They said that this may be having CNS toxicity, and therefore they didn't want to accept it. Ultimately, it was left for the Swiss giant Novartis to take it up for further development. And around the same time, we had malaria resurgence in Mumbai. Now, many years there was very little malaria, and as politicians would say, they blamed it to migrants. So they said this is imported malaria got from outside into Mumbai. But actually we realized that it was on account of increase in the mosquito breeding sites. This is what my beautiful Mumbai looked like many years back, and with the high-rise buildings, checking of the overhead water storage tank for mosquito breeding was difficult. And we also realized that there was probably chloroquine resistance. So I'm happy to say then, well, not so happy because we were having so much malaria, but nevertheless, we were part of the multi-country, multi-centric trial on co-artemether and lumefantrine, artemether and lumefantrine, and we showed that this was better than chloroquine because already there was so much of chloroquine resistance, and this was then accepted as the first line treatment by WHO and world over, as you all very well know. So now this is another offshoot of the clinical trial with malaria and product development of malaria. The commissioner of Mumbai got malaria. And at that time, not many physicians were familiar with malaria treatment, but we were well known for good knowledge and testing facilities for malaria. So we were asked to provide him treatment. He had Vivac, and he took 14-day primaquine, but he still got a relapse. And then we advised 28-day primaquine. Luckily after that, he didn't get any relapse. So that's how he realized the importance of clinical pharmacology, stroke pharmacology in patient care and in public health. And I think that was one of the reasons why our department got recognition a few months after that. So we can little bit boast for having contributed to UU2's Nobel Prize. Some of the interesting thing that we did was with a WHO funding, we carried out a clinical trial in a village setting, Kurujadi and Selukate, where patients with filaria, those of you know, microfilaria diagnosis was with 12 midnight blood collection. So we camped in the villages, and that was quite an experience. We carried out ultrasonography machine from Mumbai there and carried out ultrasonography test for filaria worm, and also of course an antigen test which had just come up. What was interesting is that we learnt about the patients or the villagers' fear about groin pain, and which was because of the filarial worm being affected. Many of you have probably heard our story of liposome development, which we did in collaboration with Professor B.K. Bachawat and Gregoriadis and late Dr. S.K. Pandya, who is a neurosurgeon. And we developed the liposome, which was already developed by B.K. Bachawat, carried out further, making it, as we say, patient, possibly to give it to the patient and patient worthy, and carried out manufacturing, and many of the PhD students who did their PhD with, and they had pharmacy, very good background. So this kind of manufacturing was done, and you can see the bottle. That was how our bottle, when we made it ourselves in Mumbai, in KEM, it looked like that. And carried out from phase 1 onwards clinical trials, and gave the drug also to the patient even in their homes. So much confident we were of its safety. We carried out studies in Patna also, and finally we had the technology transfer, and then Dr. J.N. Verma, a product of Chandigarh, he has actually taken to manufacturing. It took long time. If you think that development takes long time, from completing clinical trials and getting the patent and everything, the further manufacturing and marketing takes even longer time, which we realized as we went along. That's what it looked like. And the good thing was that besides fungal infection, it could be used in leishmaniasis, which, as you know, is the diseases of the poor patient due to sandfly. Post-Kala-Azar dermal leishmaniasis, which is part of the manifestation of visceral leishmaniasis. This liposomal amphotericin, which we had prepared, was also effective in such patients. It is also effective in mucormycosis, the black fungus in COVID-19. And we were therefore quite happy to say that because of this product, there was access to, at a lower cost, I wouldn't say at very low cost, but at a lower cost, not only in our country, but the other countries where it is exported. So what are the lessons learned in this? One should prioritize public health problems so that what work you do is available for a larger number of people. Should try and benefit the patient by providing safe and affordable medicine. Now people are talking of devices. And to do this, there is a need to collaborate. As you could see, right from Department of Biochemistry to Neurosurgery to Public Health, we had collaborated with so many departments. Seize the opportunity. As soon as the commissioner wanted treatment, we immediately went forth with it. Working with different organizations. We can say broadly that there are two expertises which as pharmacologists or clinical pharmacologists we can think about. One is product development or development of medicines and clinical trials and so on. The other is use of medicines. So as a national chair with ICMR, I proposed to then DG ICMR, Dr. Balram Bhargav, who many of you would remember his father, Professor B.K. Bhargav, a very well-known senior pharmacologist. So happily because of that, or because it was a good project, he quickly accepted this proposal of Center for Clinical Pharmacology and gave a good budget and had two channels or two wings to it, product development and rational use. So the objective of the product development center was to evaluate the basic science projects which had a potential to develop into clinical products. So these were some of the products which were proposed from basic science people and from various departments all over the country, including the Delhi University. Unfortunately, these products we could not take into clinical trials at all. There were some others which were developing new drug delivery system or pediatric formulation, and that was successful. Actrec developed a pediatric formulation for one of the chemotherapeutic agents, and the Chandigarh University along with the PJMER is developing another product. So the lesson that we learned from this was that basic science researchers need training to understand the drug development process and to carry out the experiments accordingly. It's one thing to carry out experiments to unravel, discover things and mechanisms of action and so on, but you need to understand as to what is the drug development process, what is needed in the drug development process, and carry out focused focus experiments accordingly. While the pharmacology and clinical pharmacology you should be interacting so that we are able to tell you as to where is the gap in the current treatment guidelines. And for repurposed drugs, it's important that the dose of the drug is clearly understood when you're doing the repurposing. Anyway, I'm happy to say that out of these product development centers, diagnostic tools have emerged, which one of it was the point of care G6PD testing, and the other one was viral diagnostic test. And for both these products, there has been a technology transfer and they will be marketed soon. Other part of the ICMR project was rational use of medicine, for which there were two parts, prescription research and the other one was prescribing skills training program. So for prescription research, we had 15 centers, and this is the way prescription capture was done and was evaluated for appropriateness. But because of the drawback of this manual work, PrescriSoft, a prescription research software was developed, and this was jointly developed by the project, the Rational Use Medicine Centers and the ICMR's Medical Statistics Institution. It had some very good features such as having the WHO drug dictionary the ICD disease code, and the national list of essential medicines. And also this could do, besides prescription, analysis by disease and drug, but this is under development. Anyway, with the validation being done and 1,000 prescription being entered, this was launched in March by the DG. Regarding the prescribing skills course for medical graduates, these were the institutions that were involved in developing this. I'm not sure whether we have time, but this next video is just to emphasize the importance of communication skill. Here is a resident doctor who is talking to the patient, and at the end of it you will say this is exactly what a doctor should not be talking to the patient. I don't know whether it will run.
नमस्ते डॉक्टर।
नमस्ते मनोज, कैसे हो तुम?
डॉक्टर अभी मुझे ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, चक्कर सा आ रहा है।
कितने दिनों से?
पिछले 1 हफ्ते से डॉक्टर।
तो बीपी वगैरह नापा है कहीं पे?
नहीं डॉक्टर।
ठीक है, मैं तुम्हारा बीपी देख लेती हूँ। तुम्हारा हाथ देना।
Is it audible?
तो मनोज, तुम्हारा बीपी अभी भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा है, मुझे दवाई बढ़ानी पड़ेगी एक, ठीक है? ये दवा मैं आज से बढ़ा रही हूँ, चालू करना, 4 दिन बाद मुझे आके दिखाना, ठीक है?
डॉक्टर ये दवाएं कैसे लेनी है मुझे? सुबह लेनी है, शाम लेनी है?
सुबह शाम दोनों टाइम लेनी है, बाकी का आप उधर मेडिकल में पूछ लेना।
और डॉक्टर यहाँ पे आपने SRD करके लिखा हुआ है, यही माने क्या?
भाई SRD मतलब सॉल्ट रेस्ट्रिक्टेड डाइट। मतलब तुमको नमक कम खाना है।
तो कितना कम खाना है डॉक्टर? क्या खा सकते हैं और क्या नहीं खा सकते?
वो सब तुम उधर डाइटिशियन को पूछ लेना ना, बाहर मिलेंगे तुमको।
कहाँ पे बाहर मिलेंगे डॉक्टर?
देखो ये सब तुम बाहर सिस्टर को पूछना, वो तुमको सब बताएंगे, डाइटिशियन कहाँ मिलेंगे, फार्मासिस्ट कहाँ मिलेंगे। अभी मुझे ये सारी भीड़ जमा हुई है, वो सब खत्म करनी है नेक्स्ट 1 घंटे में, तो प्लीज आप उधर पूछ लेना, ठीक है?
So many of you would have been on one side of the table or the other side, but this was just to say that when you are wanting to use medicines correctly, you need to communicate it to the patient well. In interest of time, I'm going to skip.
आपको एक बात याद रखनी है कि आप ये ORS वगैरह उसको दे रहे हो।
That video showed how to actually communicate. For this course, we had, as you can see, ran it through 3 cycles, and we had more than 15,000 registration. We had a good feedback, and as you can see, there was a pre-test, post-test. The intern didn't seem to improve so much, but the registered medical practitioners gave a excellent, I think they attended much better, and there the post-test results improved so much. And interestingly, that the states which have low health indices, actually, from where we want more registration, actually had very low registration. So that gives us a strategy what we should be doing in future when we want to run this program further. Let me move on to one of the WHO committee that we had. This is miltefosine, a drug which is oral drug used for Kala-Azar, but when its use was extended to 12 weeks, patients started getting ocular side effects. And therefore, WHO set up this multidisciplinary technical group, and based on the data available, it was realized that there is a causal relation possible, and we gave a whole lot of risk minimization measures so that early detection and prevention of eye complications. Some of the regulatory activities in which I have been involved, of course, we developed this handbook, and the fixed dose combination review, which was based on the Supreme Court order, and wanted to evaluate. The important thing was that we had to give a hearing to the manufacturers to see as to why they wanted to continue the manufacture and sale of this fixed dose combination. And then, of course, our committee's report resulted in banning of several drugs.
Madam, time to conclude.
Yeah. So finally, while I've given all the other aspects of lessons to be learned, one most important lesson to be learned is to develop a team, have good mentors, as you can see here, and of course, mentors like Professor P.L. Sharma. These are some of my mentors, and most important is all these of team from GS Medical KEM, and you can see Shubdeep, who is here already, And you can see Pankaj also very sincerely doing injection into HPLC. Paying attention to detail that others have informed is one important lesson, sir, you will agree with me. But I always like to end up, despite the time that I have completed, just this particular 5 capabilities of a learning process with late APJ Abdul Kalam has said that you should have disciplinary mind, that is have mastery over one discipline. And he said you should be able to achieve that in 10 years time, maybe. Synthesizing mind, integrate ideas from different disciplines, be able to interact. Creative mind, this is particularly important in the era of AI, should be able to uncover and be able to find solution a step ahead of computer. Don't be only dependent on computer. But these are not really sufficiently good enough if you don't have a respectful mind, that is a mature mind, that will appreciate differences between humans, and an ethical mind that is able to work with integrity beyond self-interest. With that, I thank you all for your attention. Thank you very much.
I think the clap should go further. This is once in a lifetime opportunity for me, at least, sitting on the other side of the chair. While I saw ma'am in front of Professor P.L. Sharma, we feel the same, once a student, always a student. And she mentioned 1974 she did MD pharmacology. I was born that year. Anyway, so the lessons learned are never forgotten, and lessons will always continue to happen. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed your talk. It's good to know that a lot is being planned by the government. But the problem is there's no connect with the industry. We treat the industry as a pariah. Why don't we trust them, you see? I know, even in the CSIR, early days when I wrote to them, this is the problem, can you help me with money so that I can have few beds? You know the answer which I received? Please approach the industry. So that barrier has to break. And we learn a lot, you see, from patients. And many a time, when you get the queries, you have to do out of the box thinking, nothing to do with pharmacology. I give you one example. One fine morning, sitting in my office, I get a call from the professor of cardiology that there are 2 patients sitting in front of me, well controlled on alpha-methyl dopa. They come for a monthly checkup, and I find their anti-inflammatory completely gone. Now what do you advise? So it was in my knowledge at that time that there's a problem with the import of the base material, and this is not available in the market. So Professor Bidwai asked these patients what tablets are they taking. And fortunately they had some tablets. I have a look at the tablets. Said, is it L-Dopa by any means? So he looked at it, my God, it's L-Dopa. You have the answer to your query. M-Dopa is not available. He said, koi paas de do. Chemist gave L-Dopa. Then another problem, VIP, former Chief Minister of Haryana, Bhajanlal was severely ill in Delhi, admitted to AIIMS for 17 days, no diagnosis. He had himself shifted to PGI, and that afternoon I had a phone call from the head of the unit, Professor Mehta, under whose care he was. Dr. Sharma, Bhajanlal ji aa gaye hain. Main kaha, malum hai, headache aa gayi teri. He's there for 17 days. They would have done all the investigations possible. He said, any suggestion? I said, look, as far as my knowledge of differential diagnosis goes, if in spite of all your efforts you are not able to make a diagnosis, two possibilities still remain. One is a mix of psychiatric disease, other is drug-induced toxicity. These two still remain. And here I may tell you my limited experience with them, VIPs. They do a lot of doctor shopping. And many a time they take treatment from more than one system medicine. If you take the drug history, they won't tell you, lest you may feel offended. So my suggestion to you is, take a blood sample, send it for estimation of heavy metals. Idea appealed to him. Next day I get a call, Sharma, you hit the nail on the head. The fellow is loaded with lead.
Oh my God.
Thank you, sir.
So
We can,
entirely out of
we can continue to have this discussion with Dr. Nilima Sagar at tea time. Thank you very much, madam, for your